Well, how do you become that kind of leader? We went out and talked to 125 people when we wrote the book that you have in front of you that eventually became True North. And we wanted to find out, how do people develop themselves as leaders? No one's really studied this. He's talking about what are leaders. And as my colleague said, Bill, I hope you'll find out what are the traits and characteristics of successful leaders. Well, I had my research associate go look at that. They found out there were 1,400 studies have been done, not one of which have been proven definitive, trying to correlate traits and statistically to success and characteristics of success. You know, there's a reason for that, because we're complex human beings. And you could have a list of 10 or 20 things that took to be a great leader, and I can assure you somebody'd hit 19 of the 20 and they'd be a failure as a leader, and somebody else would hit less than half of them and might be a great leader. So it's not about that. And it's not about emulating someone else. It's really about being who you are. And when we got done with talking to these people, we had 3,000 pages of transcripts, and I was concerned we were getting mush. But we pulled back and looked at it. What stood out? What really stood out was the passion people took from their life stories, the experiences of their lives, their growing up years, the things that made them want to step up and lead. And think about your own life. What has given you the passion to lead? And I think we all come out of a unique life story that can't be described by traits and characteristics. One of the people we talked to is Dick Kovacevic, who I'd known for a number of years. Dick was the 20-year chairman and CEO of Wells Fargo, still chairman, just stepped aside as CEO, put together one of the most successful track records of any commercial banker in the world. And so I said, Dick, what have you done to make Wells Fargo so successful? He said, Bill, let me tell you what it's like growing up in Western Washington in a small town. I said, well, Dick, that's not what I asked. He said, no, but that's what I want to answer. He said, in our town, there were no business people. The sawmill was going out of business. The people we honored were the teachers and coaches and our parents. No one had ever gone to college. My dream was to be the first person to ever go to college. I was an athlete. He said every day I would play sports from 2:30 to 5:30. I'd rush home. My mom would give me a sandwich. And then from 6 to 9, I went to work in the corner grocery store and to earn money for college. He said, that's where I learned to lead. He said, not at Stanford Business School, and he did happen to finish #1 in his class. He said, I learned to lead on the football field because, you know, if you had a football team made up of 11 quarterbacks, which I was, you would lose every game. You need the best people at every. So in Wells Fargo today, everyone who works for me is far better than I am. The head of mortgage banking is better than I am. The head of consumer banking is better than I am. That's the kind of team we have to build. So you can see him taking that early life experience on the athletic field and translating that into the kind of organizational leader he wanted to become. He said in the corner grocery store, I learned what that last 3 feet was, the connection with people. And when I took over Wells Fargo, he said we were anything but the friendliest bank in town. And a lot of our competitors were phasing out people out of our branch banks because they could do it all with computers. He said, no, we tried to use ours to create a friendly bank that could serve people better. We're still not #1 in every community, but that's our goal. So you can see in his life story comes out of that his passion to lead and the kind of leader he became. Another example is Howard. If you know Howard as the founder of Starbucks, Howard grew up in the Bayview housing projects in Brooklyn. Pretty tough place. A lot of drugs, a lot of crime. One day at 7 years old, his mother called him in, and his father was sitting on the sofa, and he had a body cast on. He had fallen that day. His job, he had a great job, was to pick up cloth diapers and deliver them to a central station. He had slipped on the ice. He got fired from his job. He had no pension, and he had no health care. Howard's mother was 7 months pregnant. She couldn't go to work, and so the Schultzes had no money. And Howard's job was to fend off the bill collectors and tell him his parents weren't at home when he was sitting right across the table from him. Howard said he saw his father lose 30 jobs in his lifetime. He couldn't wait to get out of Brooklyn, went to Northern School, got a scholarship to go there because he thought his father was a failure. He said the saddest day of his life was the day his father died, because on that day he realized his father never had a shot. He said he had a dream. All of a sudden, I want to create a company that my father would be proud to work at, that gives every employee health care, that can be a great place to work, where the employees care about the customers, and the customers really like the employees. At that time, he was working for a little 3-coffee house chain called Il DiGiorno, and he put together a group of investors to go buy out this company called Starbucks. It was only a $3 million investment. And middle of the process, a very wealthy Seattle businessman stepped in front of Howard and said, "Howard, I'll take this whole deal. I'll put in the $3 million, and you can work for me. You can be the CEO." And Howard was really shaken by this, so he hired Bill Gates Sr., Bill Gates' father, and he went up to the top of the tallest office building in Seattle to confront this person. And the guy just said, "Schultz, if you don't take my deal, I'll make sure you never get another job in this town. You'll be dog meat." And Schultz left the meeting. He was so shaken, he went down to the lobby and he said he broke into tears. Why? Because he could see his dream going away. Well, he was successful in putting the investment back together. And as you know, Starbucks has gone from 1 store to 14,000 stores around the globe. He thinks they're going to have 40,000, but he's still concerned about, can he keep that dream going? They became the first company 20 years ago to provide health care to all workers, including part-time workers. And today, when you go into a Starbucks store, the health care costs more than the coffee. But still, he's staying true to what he believes in, because out of his life story comes that conviction, that passion.